Hi, I'm Stevie and I like art, and today we will be talking about Can't Help Myself, a bloody machine that has captured the hearts of millions of TikTok viewers. Yuan and Peng Yu have earned themselves a reputation as controversial and thought-provoking collaborative artists. In the past, they've conceptualized perception, death, and the human condition, using materials such as live animals, taxidermy, human fat, baby cadavers, and robotics. The pair have done multiple thought-provoking works like Angel and Old People's Home, both in 2008, and Freedom in 2009. While these pieces were received well and much discussed in the art world, Yuan and Yu are most well known for Can't Help Myself, a piece that has gone viral on TikTok and has become known globally, even outside of the art sphere. The pair's installation, Can't Help Myself, was initially commissioned for the Guggenheim Museum in 2016 as part of their Tales of Our Time exhibit. 3 years later, the robotic arm reappeared for the Venice Biennial in 2019 in May You Live in Interesting Times. The artwork is a machine inside of a glass cubicle, illuminated brightly from the ceiling by TL lights. The machine consists of a robotic arm of the kind that is often used in production lines, such as car factories. But this specifically modified arm has only one task: to sweep the liquid, which is dark red, viscous, and looks like blood, in a perfect circle. Placed behind clear acrylic walls, the robot has one specific duty: to contain a viscous, deep red liquid within a predetermined area. When the sensors detect that the fluid has strayed too far, the arm frenetically shovels it back into place, leaving smudges on the ground and splashes on the surrounding walls. To further animate the machine, it is cordoned off from the rest of the gallery using transparent acrylic partitions that give the illusion of a caged animal in distress. The display turns viewers into voyeurs or empaths or both. It is a Sisyphean task, because the liquid keeps flowing back. The machine works endlessly on a task that is never finished. This feeling of endless labor is enlarged with the surroundings. The robot is locked inside a cubicle that has elements of an office or perhaps the working space of a customs officer. There is no door in the cubicle, no way to get out. The impossibility of the task is interrupted every now and then by a combination of 32 dance moves that immediately give the robot a scarily human character. The robotic arm doesn't just work, Can't Help Myself as the title says, but interrupts its labor by shaking its butt, by waving at visitors, by performing a twist, scratch and itch, bow and shake, jazz hands, or a pirouette. Many of the pre-programmed dance moves are familiar looking. They almost immediately change the character of the robotic arm into something almost human. It has become a true Sisyphus, taking a dance break from his endless labor. Above the cubicle are visual recognition sensors that measure if the liquid gets close to a perfect circle, and also if there are visitors around. In either one of the cases, the robot starts performing, dancing, moving and waving around, whereby it clearly interacts with the visitor. Watching Can't Help Myself is like looking at a caged animal, and visitors interact with it as such. The work has a dark, humorous side, but however much you dance and shake along with it, the giant pool of blood cannot be unseen. Interpretations. One theory sees the liquid's inability to stay confined as art's essential elusiveness. Another, more comprehensive explanation, which the artists endorsed, addresses the angst-ridden dynamic between man and machine. In trying to answer how robotics can take the place of the artist and extend or replicate their will, San Juan believes even if the machines develop a new calculating capacity that exceeds their original settings, those calculations will still be based on the logic programmed by humans. He goes on to say an artist's work is a reflection of his or her will. The artist doesn't need to be present on site physically. Instead, you rely on an agent to carry out your will. But who is actually in the position of power here? The machine or the person who built it? Perhaps the relationship is reciprocal, as robotics artist Bill Vaughan suggests. They both take advantage of each other and progress with each other. Then there is the Sisyphean hypothesis related to migration and sovereignty, especially when under an authoritarian government. More specifically, the robot's blood shed is likened to the violence that comes from guarding border zones. Remember, the artwork is sanctioned off, and the liquid itself is unable to stray. As the artwork has found TikTok fame, more and more people have been giving their interpretations of the piece. Although the artists have explained the meaning behind the artwork, many people have found themselves and their own journeys within the robot's distressed movements. Due to the imagery of the machine rusting, growing old, and coming across as emotive, many audiences and commenters have voiced how they empathize with the machine and often compare it to struggling to keep yourself together, especially within the context of the pandemic and consequent changing attitudes towards mental health. One Facebook user said, "I don't think any piece of art has ever emotionally affected me the way this robot arm piece has affected me. It's called Can't Help Myself, and it's a robot arm that's programmed to clean up the fluid that constantly leaks out of itself. It looked like a never-ending flow of blood. It has been programmed dance moves to make it appear to have human gestures, and at first it seemed happy and proud of its job, dancing when it sees it has visitors. But 3 years later, it looks tired, hopeless, and like it's living in a never-ending cycle of constantly trying to put itself back together for the entertainment of other people." And when I found out that it had finally stopped working in 2019, essentially dying, I couldn't help but imagine the relief it must have felt. And so I've been in here crying over a robot arm. It was programmed this way. It truly couldn't help itself. And no one ever helped. They just watched. The viral Facebook post about Can't Help Myself, a robot arm endlessly falling behind in its task of shoveling blood-like liquid, correctly named the piece and its functionality. The post stated it had finally stopped working in 2019, essentially dying, a claim we were unable to substantiate. Can't Help Myself was commissioned by the Guggenheim Museum for a broader exhibit. That exhibition ended, and in May 2019, Can't Help Myself travelled to Venice for the May You Live in Interesting Times exhibit. We were unable to find any claim that the robot stopped working at any point, and if any further exhibits were slated for after 2019, what happened most likely is the piece fell victim to the interesting times that the world first began to enter just 1 month later in 2020. And I would like you to consider, is it better or worse for the machine to have died? To have stopped working? Or is it somehow a worse fate that this machine went into storage and has just been forgotten? Hi, I've been Stevie, and I hope you've enjoyed our time together today. If you have, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, do all that jazzy stuff, and I will hopefully see you again soon.